the 49ers. Yesterday, pre-draft, easy for him to say, press conference, John Lynch, GM, meeting with reporters. Here is Lynch addressing questions about the biggest roster uncertainty currently on the team, fifth-year, first-round receiver, Brandon Aiyuk.
And before, questions, I know a couple years ago there was a lot of talk about another receiver, Debo, and I said the same thing. But with BA, I've communicated on many occasions, our wish. And our wish is that he's here and a part of the Niners for the rest of his career. We're working through that. And, as such, I was a player once, and I never liked my business being out in the public, and so I'm going to respect that. I'm not going to speak for their side. I can say we're having good talks, and I'm just going to leave it at that, and we'll focus on the draft here today.
Given permission to his side to go?
I'm not going to get in all those details. We're really focused on BA being part of us. He's under contract, and we're looking forward to that.
You never have to deny that you've given permission to the agent to seek a trade if you cut off the question before the question is actually finished. That's what Matt Maiocco was asking John Lynch yesterday. Have you given permission to Brandon Aiyuk's agent to seek a trade? Because I think he has. And it's good news for the 49ers because it hasn't really materialized in anything. But, Chris, here's the point. If they are going to do something, there's no reason to talk about it this week. You do the trade, assuming they get a first-round pick for him. It's an A.J. Brown type of a trade like we saw 2 years ago. Oh, that makes my back hurt to do the Mike Vrabel the neck thing. But, you don't do it until that spot's on the clock. You acquire that team's pick. If it's the Steelers, for example, if you're going to trade him to Pittsburgh for their first-round pick, you don't get that first-round pick prematurely. So people can sit there and say, oh, gee, wonder who the 49ers are going to take. Let's try to cut the line in front of them. That's exactly what the Eagles and the Titans did. The Titans sent that pick to the Eagles while the Eagles' pick was on the clock. So, look, Lynch made it clear by the way he handled that question that there's been permission given.
Pretty much.
Now, that's different. That's different from, remember the initial report, and we had some fun with it a week or two ago about Brandon Aiyuk has requested a trade. He never requested a trade. This is the exercise that basically you've endorsed. Let him see what else is out there. You don't like what we're offering? Go see what else you can get somewhere else. And if no one else is going to offer you what we're offering, maybe that tells you something.
I think that's what it is. I think teams, and I'm thinking the 49ers here, you get exhausted to a point of, wait, we're going back and forth. We've thrown you out a number that we think is respectable and that we think is, top of the market for what you are and where you are, right? All right, man, we're not even close. What? You don't want it? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, at some point you just got to, all right, go out there. Go see. You want that type of money because you think you're that type of guy. Go ahead and see if the rest of the league thinks you're that type of the guy, right? And, and again, I think John Lynch, being an ex-player, he's being careful about, airing dirty laundry. He's probably trying to be good to the agent and the player because I think they do really like Brandon Aiyuk, right? They want him to be a part of the team. And so they're trying to make him not, look bad by, him making it look like, hey, he's looking for a new place to go and he doesn't really want to be there. So I think they're trying to do solid by that. But yeah, at the end of the day, I am interested to see how this shakes out because I think you're right. I mean, I think Brandon Aiyuk, by all due accounts, what we saw there, our common sense, everything there, right, that Brandon Aiyuk could be on the trade block come Thursday night. The 49ers, could they make a move, including with Brandon Aiyuk involved in that, to move up in the first round or do something like that, right? What would they acquire for Brandon Aiyuk? Does it definitely get you a first rounder? I don't know if it does. I would bet you 2, but we'll see. Either way. And then, of course, we know within that trade that some sort of a parameter or an agreement with a contract for Aiyuk and the next team is going to have to be in a place. Team is just going to trade for him and go, we don't even know what he's want, but we'll trade him. What? He wants $27 million? Rescind the trade. We don't want to do that. So, right?
Failed the physical.
Right, exactly. So they got to figure some of that stuff out. But I'm with you in that I would think he's in play Thursday night or some point this weekend.
I think it's also revealing that when Lynch was asked if Aiyuk could be traded this week, his answer was, I wouldn't anticipate that. That's different from no.
Right.
No.
Right.
No, we're not trading him. No, I wouldn't anticipate it. Well, okay. Well, I wouldn't anticipate it either, but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
No, I take that as
counting the minutes.
I'm not getting the offer I want yet, so I don't anticipate that. But if I get the offer,
but if I do,
right.
If I do,
right.
But you're right. It's two things that have to happen. You have to give the 49ers what they want, and you have to give Brandon Aiyuk what he wants. We touched on this yesterday as it relates to making an offer to a team higher in the draft. What does it get to get that team to move down?
Yeah.
You have to thread the needle. You have to find a way to, find a team that values Brandon Aiyuk so much more than the 49ers that they will pay him more than the 49ers will offer and give the 49ers whatever the 49ers are looking for. Exactly what the Eagles did with A.J. Brown.
Right.
They valued A.J. Brown dramatically more than the Titans did because they were willing to give the player the contract he wanted. The Titans wouldn't, and they gave the Titans a first-round pick for the privilege of paying the player. That tells you there's got to be a huge disparity in how the team that's had the guy for 4 years looks at him and the team that would be bringing the guy in sight unseen perceives him. And I'd say buyer beware. Because the 49ers aren't a team that tends to misevaluate their players.
Agreed.
Although you could say in hindsight, maybe they gave Deebo Samuel more than they should have.
Okay, yeah.
But they don't undervalue their players. There's a reason they are wherever they are in the negotiations. And if I'm the team thinking about throwing the sufficient money and draft pick, I really want to know why the 49ers aren't taking care of this guy. Why are they not doing for him what they did for Deebo Samuel and Nick Bosa? I'd want to know the answer to that question before I'd write that check and invest the draft pick compensation.
Yeah, I think, I think that's probably part of what's being questioned out there, right? Aiyuk hasn't necessarily just been like career numbers where you go, oh my gosh, he's a superstar and this is unbelievable, right? Before this year, he had only had 1 year where he barely got over 1,000 yards and got to 1,015. So I don't think everybody in football is looking at it and going, oh, he's just a bona fide number one, take over the game type of thing, like an A.J. Brown. There's no way Brandon Aiyuk is that. I'm sorry. He's a damn good football player, but he's not that. Like we talk about with A.J. Brown or great players, he's an anytime, anywhere guy. Throw him a slant on your own 5-yard line, it might be a 95-yard touchdown. Or he may just run by you or break tackles or whatever. It doesn't matter. That's a different class of a human being and what gets offered to them monetarily. And that's where I think Aiyuk is in a little bit of a spot there. And then I think not only that with evaluating the player, but I think also what's going to happen here with Aiyuk that's going to give teams a little bit of trepidation for the second time in about 5 minutes, that word there, is that teams are going to look at it and go, I mean, he's good. I like him. But damn, look at, he's wide open right there. There's nobody in the screen here. Right. Is it Shanahan or is it Aiyuk? You tell me. All right. And I think that's what's going to, yep. Again, wide open over the middle. Right. So that's where I think that hurts Aiyuk too is, wait, he doesn't blow you away with pure physical explosiveness ability, and then there's going to be, how much is Shanahan's genius and his ability to make the guy look good too? And I think that'll hurt his value on the trade market, Mike.
And you got Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel
Trent Williams
in that offense.
Yeah.
Kyle Juszczyk, who doesn't get mentioned as much as he should. You got Trent Williams in a pretty good offensive line. You got Brock Purdy, who is coming into his own as a potential franchise quarterback. You can't cover everybody. You can't account for everybody. That may be part of it as well. And that may be why the 49ers are being a little more careful about this. Hey, they recognize someone is going to be the guy that doesn't get the same attention as the other guys. So what happens when the deck gets reshuffled and Aiyuk is the one who's getting the attention? Does he still get the production? And you're right. He had 748 yards as a rookie, 826 his second year, 1015 year three, and last year 1,342, second team All-Pro, averaged 17.9 yards per catch, career high by far. But you're right. There were a lot of those highlights we showed wide open. Now he had that great catch, that Lynn Swann-style postseason catch against the Lions, where it was great focus and concentration. But this is the challenge. when you have a lot of great players on your team, how many of them are truly the difference makers and how many are just benefiting from the fact that they happen to be the third or fourth option on a great team with a great coach who knows how to put his players in position to get as open as Aiyuk has been. So that may be the explanation, but my point is, if I'm the team that is going to give him what he wants, more than what the 49ers will pay, and give the 49ers what they would want to give up their contractual right to him for this year and the ability to franchise tag him next year and in theory a year after that, I want to know why the 49ers don't value this guy the way that we do, since we've never had him in our building. All we've done is faced him or studied film of him. We haven't had him around. They've had him for 4 years.
Yeah, I think those are fair questions, right? And I think all those questions will, kind of ruminate in people's brains there. And I think ultimately, right, the 49ers, probably want a first-rounder for Brandon Aiyuk, right, with the type of money he's asking for. But I don't think that's going to happen. If Brandon Aiyuk does get traded, I think it'd be a second-rounder. That's kind of how I would look at it or view it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm gauging this the wrong way there. But, clearly the 49ers are not happy with whatever the number is Aiyuk is asking for right now. I mean, that's obvious. And they've given him that free range to go and see what's out there and see what you can make happen. And they're in the process, and we'll see. It's another thing to watch out for. Because the 49ers at the end of the first round, too, where, again, I know my buddy Kyle Shanahan, right? He wants to be in the action. He's impatient, right? He wants to get back to the Super Bowl right now. I just know how he is. And he's going to be sitting there during the draft and like, damn, can Kyle sit there for 3 hours, right, without being a part of the mix and the thing and the action? We'll see. But they're also in kind of like for the addressing the needs of their football team, they're a little bit in no man's land for like people that might help their team out at the end of the first round. And I don't know if anybody that the positions they need that are going to have the right value of guys there. So I would think the 49ers are in the definite mode of we're going to trade up and get somebody significant player, or we're going to trade back and acquire more picks and take that route and do that. But I would think that they're looking to make a move with where they're sitting and how I did my mock draft and look at the board and look at what they need. That certainly jumped out to me as I went through the process, Mike.
There is an interesting middle ground here. You think back to 2 years ago, it was the Eagles sending a mid-first-round pick for A.J. Brown straight up. You could take that 31st overall pick if you're the 49ers, put Aiyuk with it, and how high can
exactly.
you go?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Right.
And get into the teens, the upper teens. Who knows?
Yeah, they need a tackle, right? Would they go? Oh, yeah, maybe we want one of these tackles in the high 20s, the teens, whatever, right? Yeah, exactly right. I could see it. Is there a guy that falls down the board a little bit, where then all of a sudden they go, oh my gosh, he's available, and we can get there with a trading of the pick and Aiyuk. Yeah, I'll be interested to see how they play that out. I really will. But I think them and the Lions at the end of the first round definitely sit there and you go, I could see them making a move either way because both teams are really well built. There's no desperate need, but yet the needs they do have, I don't think the value is there at that part of the round. And that usually dictates, hey, let's make a move up or back. And I could see both of those teams doing that.
And that's the reality of where we are right now. Everyone still has their cards pressed tight against the vest. And the time to start flipping the cards and showing the hands is coming in just 2 days. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.